The Come ladder. Easily one of my favorite ways to play. I love playing the system. It's so easy. It's a great walk-up system. Again, it's one of these systems where you don't got to think a whole lot. The bets almost make themselves. And it's surprisingly profitable and capable as we go through this over the long haul. Let's take a look at how this thing works. One of the great things about it is that it's a 7-unit maximum per shooter. So you can budget for this very easily. Now, I'm using single red units for this demonstration, but a unit could be a quarter. It could even be 100 if you want to play at the black level. A unit could be 2 red chips or 3 red chips. It depends on your table minimum and what your risk tolerance is going to be. Just know that if you're playing at 15 minimum, you need 7 sets of 3 chips to make that work, okay? Here we go. The way this works is this. We set up our rack with 1 unit, then 2, and then 4. And the reason for that is this. We're going to make a series of come bets. We're going to let the shooter establish a point first. I don't play the pass line on this. I like having 3 units in rolling motion in the box where I can get it. The pass line feels like it limits that a little bit. So I tend to bypass the pass line. You can play this if you want to. Essentially, it's your first come bet. Regardless, let's take a look. We have a point of 10, come bet of size 1 unit. Let's say that it gets set. Actually, before it gets set, you can win here on the 7 or the 11. You'll lose on a 2, 3, or 12. You got a 2-to-1 advantage right now. That's a great place to be. But let's say that it gets set to, let's say, the 9, all right? Your next come bet has to be greater than the total amount of money you have in action. You have 1 unit in action, so you're gonna bet 2 units next, just like so. Same rules apply. If the 7 comes here, you'll win 2 and you'll lose 1. The net effect to your rack is that you'll be in 1 unit of profit. That's the reason why we stagger the bets by 1 unit over what's in action every time. That's the reason why it's 7. Again, 1 in the come goes to the 9. 2 in the come, because we have 1 in action, let's say it goes to the 6. Our last bet, we have 1, 2, 3 units in action. So our next bet is of size 4. And again, if the 7 comes here, you'd lose 3, you'd win 4, be net up 1 unit. Let's say that instead it travels to the 5. Now here's where the gameplay starts. We're looking for repeaters, of course. Let's say that the 6 wins. We roll a 6, it comes out, you get paid. You bring it back to the rack. What do you have in action? You have 4 units in action here, 1 unit in action here. It's 5 units in action. You have 4 units in your rack. You cannot put a bet into the come that's not 1 unit greater than what you have in action. So you have to wait this one out. This is just going to sit here and you're going to watch these 2 bets kind of play out. Let's say the 9 happens to roll. Get paid on the 9. That comes back to your rack. And now your rack has 6 units. You have 4 units here on the 5, which means you can come out with a 5-unit come bet, which I say covers 5 covers 4. If the 7 were to roll right now, you'd lose 4, but you'd win 5. How does your rack respond to that? Well, you're going to have your initial 7 units back plus a small profit of 4 units. That's a great result there. What do? The board's clear, the puck is still on. Restart the process with a 1-unit bet and kind of keep this thing rolling. You will find times where during the rolls, you'll have 2 here and 4 here and 5 here, and these things start to grow a little bit. I recommend putting a cap. Your maximum come bet size might be 4, 5, 6, or 7, whatever units you decide to be your cap. At some point, you just can't cover it all. There's going to be frequent wins and the bets get kind of high. So have a ceiling if you would. Just be respectful of your bankroll. But that's the basics of the system. It's always 1 more than you have in action, 3 max. When the 7 comes, shooter's done for their roll. Evaluate your rack and see where you are. That is the come ladder. Again, super simple, really capable, pretty profitable and reliable system that I like to walk up the tables with and get started on most nights. Let's do a quick little up-close roll-up here just to get a sense of the rhythm of the strategy. I'll do a full roll-up later in a longer form video, but I want you to get a chance just to kind of see how the chips move. Now, I always bypass the pass line. I like to have 3 box numbers rolling in action. So you could play the pass line if you want to. I will always bypass it when I play the strategy. Here we are out on a point of 6, and our first come bet comes out, size 1. Midnight, we lose it. That's a 12. We lose it on a craps number. That's a bummer. This is going to change our rhythm a little bit here. You'll see what's going to happen. If we can get these things set, you'll see what I mean. That's a 3. Lose that one too. Back out we come. It's a 7. That pays. Shooter's done. Back to the rack we go. Now in that shooter, we lost a unit. We're down to 6 instead of 7 for our next shooter. Where I played this at a real table, I would actually put these chips to the side and pull out a new set of 7 chips and try and earn this back. But to show you what it looks like to play with less units, let's keep this thing going at this level, and I'll show you the adjustment that I make. New point is going to be 6. Come out with a come bet of size 1. We 7 out, which happens a lot, by the way. Now we're back to our 7 units. Puck is off, and we'll do it again. There's a 7 on the come out. There's an 11 on the come out. There's an 8. Our point's going to be 8. Coming out with a 1 unit bet. That's 1-1. That's aces. We'll lose that. Come through. That's the point. Puck is off. Again, bypassing the come out roll. The point gets hit. It's set back to an 8 again. So we're going to get paid here on this 8, which is great. And it comes back to our rack. We have actually our first little streak going here. So let's come back up with a come bet size of 1. That goes to the 5. 1 in action. Next bet is of size 2. That's going to be a 6. 2 goes to the 6. We have 3 in action. Our next bet is a 4. Size 4. Here we go. Let's get it set or get a 7. It goes to the 4. We have 4 units on the 4, 1 on the 5, 2 on the 6. The point is 8. And now we let these bets resolve. Hopefully they resolve for us. There's a 6, a hard 6. That pays 2 and comes back to our rack. We have 4 units in our rack. We have 5 units out here. Since 4 is less than 5, we do not come back into the come until we can cover these bets with at least enough to cover them from the rack. Here we go. Coming back out. That's going to be a 6. I need the 5 or the 4 to show for me here. There's a 3. There's a 4, 3, 1, 4. So the 4 unit size bet pays. The 4 comes down and gets paid. Into the rack it goes. I have 1 unit here on the 5, which means my next come bet can be at size 2. I keep rolling this thing through. As long as I can afford to play it, I keep rolling them out. There's a come bet, goes to the 4. I have 2 on the 4, 1 on the 5, and I have 4 units coming. Again, I'm using the wins that I just got to keep the system going. And again, if a 7 comes here, we don't care because we're covered. Now I have a unit bet size of 4 on the 6. I have 2 on the 4, 1 on the 5. That's 4, 6, 7 units. I only have 6 in the rack. Because that's not enough to cover this action, and I have 3 come bets set, we wait this out and see what happens. There's a 5. 4, 1, 5. That gets paid. Now we have a decision to make. I have 2 on the 4. I have 4 on the 6. That's 6 total. I have 7, 8 chips in my rack. I could come out here with a bet of 7. I would never go higher than a 7 unit bet in the come to cover what I have out here. This is the max I would go on any one shooter. So we're going to make this bet and put ourselves at a little bit of risk, but that's okay. For a demonstration, that's fine. You can decide the max you'll ever do is 5. And in that case, you would bypass this. We're going to come out with that bet and see what happens. It's going to be a 4, 3, 7. We lose what's out here in action. But we get paid 7 units for our come bet. And the result in our rack is this. There's the 7 units that we started with. And here is 8 units in profit. So that little cycle that we did, that last play that we made on the 7 there, technically, paid off for us. And we ended up doubling up on that shooter. That's really a good result. After having a couple of little losses there early, we recovered well. And this strategy tends to do this as it rolls through. So that's a good look at the come ladder. Again, one of my favorite easy beginner strategies. It's just a good walk up, play with your friends, don't have to think a whole lot. Easy way to grind away a win. Come ladder.